I want to talk receivers because we did a receiver ranking show a couple weeks ago. They're always a tough position to rank because there's so many different receiver positions and wants and needs. Just looking at your rankings, you have Quentin Johnston at 5. Some people are higher on Quentin Johnston. You might be a little lower on him. Jalen Hyatt from Tennessee, you have at 3. He's kind of a polarizing guy. And then for Sam and I, we were both really low on Zay Flowers from BC relative to the rest of, I'd say, other evaluators. We had him more as a second-round type of prospect. You have him 4th as a first, second-round type of player. Where do you see those guys? What were some of the strengths, weaknesses you saw between Jalen Hyatt, Zay Flowers, Quentin Johnston, who you have as your 3, 4, 5?
Yeah, and I'm glad you set it up that way because, I mean, especially on Twitter, and we get so caught up in what the wide receiver stack looks like and debating between first receiver and second receiver. And these guys are so different in what they offer and what position they're going to play in the NFL. Like, is it really even worth debating, who's a better prospect between Quentin Johnston and Jackson Smith and Jigba, because they're so different in what they offer and what they bring, that it's more about what does your offense look like and, what does your offense need? And Jalen Hyatt, a great example. He's very specific in what he offers. I think he's above average in 2 key areas, vertical speed and ball tracking. He's very, very good in those 2 areas. And so if your team needs that vertical burner, a guy that can win down the field, that can really stretch out a defense vertically, he's your guy. But if you want more of a route runner, you want more that's going to win, someone that's going to win underneath, he's just not what you're looking for. So I think it really depends. Not enough is talked about with receivers and the different positions and what teams are looking for specifically. For me, it's really weird because I want size at the position, yet of my top 7 receivers this year, over half of them, 4 of them are under 180 pounds, which is kind of a red flag. I mean, it's like, okay, what are we trending this way, or are we pushing these guys up, more so than we have in past years because this isn't a great receiver class at the top? Let's take last year's receiver class, for example. Where would the top receiver this year fall in last year's class? For me, I think he'd be outside the top 6. Last year was Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Jameson Williams, Olave, Dotson, and Treylon Burks. I think that for me, my top receivers, Jackson Smith and Jigba, I think he would have been my 7th of that group. And so even though the top receiver this year probably goes somewhere in that 15 to 25 range, I think it's important to understand just context-wise that, being the first receiver drafted this year doesn't necessarily mean the same as being, compared to past wide receiver drafts. But, Smith and Jigba, if you're looking for that slot guy, he's exactly what you want. Route runner, the spatial awareness is special. Ball skills are above average. Jordan Addison, wish he were bigger. That's the big hang up with him. 173 pounds at the combine. And then his pro day, he was 170 pounds. So he actually lost some weight. You worry about just, that size and be able to work up the play strength going up against NFL level DBs. But he has some suddenness to him. He does have the crisp footwork, so he can work in and out of breaks, get open, has some return experience as well, has yak ability. The production's outstanding. He's the only 3-year receiver in this draft to have over 3,000 career receiving yards. Jalen Hyatt, we talked about. Zay Flowers, I'm kind of with you. I'm not nearly as high on Zay Flowers as most people seem to be. Not a slam dunk first round prospect by any means. I graded him as more of a second rounder as well. He ended up, I think, at number 32 overall for me. So right on that cusp of maybe getting in the first round, maybe not. I think he showed more of a 3-level ability this year, being able to win deep, which he didn't always show in the past, which I think that was encouraging. But still, you're dealing with a smaller player. He's 5'9", bulked up. He was right around 175, but he bulked up, got over 180 for the draft process, which is always good to see. Quentin Johnston is always tough because the pro day didn't help either, because you 6'3", 208. And he was smart. He did exactly what he knew he was good at the combine: 40.5 in the vert, 11.2 in the broad. Great. That's exactly what, you see that explosiveness on film. But then at the pro day, runs 4.51 in the 40, which is not terrible, but not great. 7.21 or 7.31 in the 3-cone, below average. And so, he's not necessarily a traditional ball winner, more drops than you want to see on his tape. So Quentin Johnson has so much ability. It's just, okay, what's his comp at the next level? What do we see him becoming? Do we ever see him being a true number one, or do you think he can develop into a number two? So I think there's a lot of different opinions on Quentin Johnston outside the league and inside the league. And then Josh Downs from North Carolina, he's a true slot. And then one of my favorite receivers this year, Tyler Scott from Cincinnati, big fan of his. He's another guy, 5'10", 177, so not big, but speed. And he was an option running back in high school. So this is not a guy, and you wouldn't guess it by watching his tape. He for a guy that's not been playing the position very long, he plays like a receiver who has been playing for a long time with the way he runs his routes. His ball skills are pretty impressive for his size, and a guy that didn't catch the ball very much in high school. One of my favorite stats from this class is he has 14 touchdowns the last 2 years. All of them went for 20 plus yards. And the average of all 14 touchdowns was 44.6 yards per catch, for touchdown catch. So this is a guy that can create both deep and then catch and run. So I see a lot of Tyler Lockett. We get one comp every year to Tyler Lockett. For me, this year, I think it's Tyler Scott. I think he has that type of ability.
Well, this is the year for Tyler Lockett comps because they're all built like Tyler Lockett.
I've seen it for Josh Downs before.
Right.
I've referenced that one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It is wild. Like all of the top receivers almost in this class are small. And then what is strange to me is that you then get to a group later on where they're all big. Like you get to this group of guys at the top that are all sort of built like Tyler Lockett, and then you get to the mid-low rounds where they're all these sort of 6'3", 200-plus-pound speedsters that aren't actually great football players, but have the look, like what it should look like,
right,
and aren't those kind of players. I want to get to cornerbacks for a minute because at the top, I think it's becoming this interesting coin flip now for a lot of people between Christian Gonzalez from Oregon and Devin Witherspoon from Illinois. When I went through and watched them, I found it comfortably Devin Witherspoon is a number one guy. I get the reasons entirely why you would lean the other direction because Gonzalez is the physical prototype. He's what you want, right? He's got the 6 foot size. He's got the almost 200 pounds. He's got the movement skills, the speed, and that's like all the question marks with Witherspoon are those things. It's the kind of, does he have that slick movement, the size, etc. So from the tape, when you watch Christian Gonzalez specifically, did you see enough concerns to make you back away from kind of what he is, or are you sort of projecting into the NFL, given the movement skills, given the ability, given his obvious talent, like he'll get there? Like it's more of a what he can be at the next level as opposed to what he is right now.
Yeah, and I'm gonna bet on the traits, and I think Christian Gonzalez. And this is something going back to the summer. I mentioned how that's my process is really in the summer lay the groundwork, and I had someone tell me, "Hey, make sure you watch Christian Gonzalez," and so I did, and I was blown away. The analogy I use is. At the end of Avengers Endgame, when everyone's coming back and Captain America, he says assemble, and I was like, why is this comic book movie giving me goosebumps? Like, I don't, what is happening? And I'm watching this Colorado corner, and he's just blown me away with the way he's moving out there and this cover ability. I'm like, why is this Colorado corner giving me goosebumps? But that's how it felt last summer watching Christian Gonzalez, and then he transfers to Oregon, and I thought he played even better. And I thought the concerns I had with Gonzalez coming into the year, he made me feel better about this year. I thought the ball skills were better, the ability to turn, locate, make a play. He got better throughout the year as the year went on. This is still a really young player. He doesn't turn 21 until June, late June. So, young player, he's 6'1.5", 200 pounds. The speed metrics are awesome. I think the play strength is good enough. It's not something that I'm worried about. So I think there's a lot of now. The one thing that does worry me a little bit is he reminds me a lot of Jeff Okudah coming out, and obviously, Jeff Okudah hasn't exactly worked out. Now, it's injuries and stuff. There, it's not exactly a apples to apples comparison, but that maybe gave me a little bit of a pause there. But but I'm with you on Devin Witherspoon. To me, he's right there, and he's a guy that I liked coming into the year, and then the more you watched him this year, you just fall in love with him, with the way he plays, the play personality, the tenacity that he plays with. He is such an aggressive player, and sometimes it works against him. I think over the last 2 years, he's over double-digit penalties, and you live and die with that. But I think that there's way more, to be excited about with Devin Witherspoon. Do you wish you were a little bit bigger? Yeah, no question. Hopefully he can stay around that 185 range. That's what he came in at his pro day. Ran a 4.43, which is outstanding for him. Better than I think a lot of people thought he would run. There's a lot of thing about Witherspoon that translates to the pro game. And as long as you feel good about that 185. Yeah, I think you have no problem taking Witherspoon in the top 10. To me, these are two top 10 players in this draft. So I think you feel good with either one.